Welcome into the Big Chief Show. I'm your host, Fred Davis, alongside the one, the only 14-year NFL veteran, the pride of the fofo. All this man did was 14 years, 93
and a half
career sacks, the most everybody knows tackle in the history of the National Football League. Over 1,000 career tackles, two-time All-Pro, two-time Pro Bowler, and just one of the genuine, all-around good dudes in the world, and a tenacious gift giver as well. One of the best gift givers around, top to bottom. This guy gives gifts, and you can use them. That's what's important, folks, is that you can use the gifts that Henry Thomas gives. The one, the only. Well, that's what I'm saying, but not everybody does that, Henry. Not everybody does that.
You don't get a gift every year, so.
That's true. That's true. That's true. But that's what makes your gift giving so good, is that you know when to do it. You know when to do it. So something to be said about that. Before we get into this, Henry Thomas, and we'll talk a little bit about what we saw on Sunday and kind of put the finishing touches on that conversation. Obviously, we all know Chiefs took care of business. 49ers took care of business. There's so many things I want to get your thoughts on. Real quick, though, your former teammate, the gentleman that if it wasn't for him, you and I would not be friends, the one, the only Ted Johnson. Teddy J, and you again. Look, you spent 4 years with Ted in New England. You know Ted's not one to mince words, especially when it comes to Bill Belichick. And let's just put it like this: I don't think Ted and Bill are going to be exchanging Christmas cards anytime soon. His big thing was, look, after Tom Brady left, pretty much the entire Patriot way as we know it disintegrated, and that really Tom Brady was the Patriot way as much as anything.
Really? He said that?
He said, because his whole point was, because his thing is, if you look at where the Patriots, what they've done since Brady left, he said the thing about Belichick is that, between getting, the fact that football has passed him by, he hasn't tried to stay up to date or, anything offensively. And the fact that he spends more money on special teams than he does on offense or defense.
Well, maybe he shouldn't be a general manager.
Right.
But it just pains me when people don't see. Here's the thing. Football hasn't passed him by. His style of coaching is different. No one can duplicate it. I know that. But he used Tom Brady in the way to pass on the message to the other players that couldn't get it from the coach. Here's Tom coming from nowhere, from nothing. Now he's a Super Bowl or MVP. He's this, he's that. But it wasn't Tom, because before Tom, the Patriots had a great core already. 3 years before that, they'd been to the Super Bowl. The 2 years before that, they'd been in the championship game. So it was there. The pieces were there. But as the years ran on, it's hard to replace those pieces. But he used Tom in a way to, at one point, you'd never seen another player getting on the rest of the guys the way he did, because that's straight from Belichick. But, everybody's, well, he went somewhere else and won the Super Bowl. Great. They spent a lot of money to make that happen.
Well, and me and Ted talked a little bit about this last night, and I differed with him slightly, though. I said, well, look, look, taking nothing away from Tom Brady, but, we all agree that he is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Okay, so there's nothing to be, there's nothing that's not hyperbolic. And, let's not pretend like that Tampa Bay team that he went to wasn't loaded already. They were missing a quarterback. Like, that's the thing that was keeping them to the next level was a quarterback, right? I mean, look, you had Mike Evans, you had Chris Godwin, you had Gronk for another year, right? I mean, you had Leonard Fournette who had something that year, right? You had Devin White. You had what's the other cat's name? That's the Levante David. You had J.P. Keith that year, right? With his gnarly looking hand making plays, right? So I will, and look, Ted's in Boston. He's there. He does radio in Boston. He does TV in Boston. So obviously he's privy to some of the stuff behind the scenes stuff that maybe we're not on a regular basis. But I said, look, let's not. While yes, I think it's easy to cast aspersions on Bill Belichick since what happened, but I do think to Ted's point, though, I will say this: I do think some of the baggage that comes with Belichick when you talk about who's he bringing in from a coaching standpoint. When you're looking at another team, right? If you're just insert anybody, right? You're not necessarily impressed, Henry, with who he's bringing with him from a coaching perspective. At least I think you would give kind of the side eye to, all right, outside of Josh McDaniels, okay, we know that there's nobody offensively that he can hang his hat on, right? That you can say, oh, that's a Belichick guy that was legit, okay? Because it's all Tom.
Weiss? No.
That's what I'm saying. Charlie Weiss, of course not. Because those guys didn't do it. Because, again, it goes back to that. Look, it's the same argument we're having. It's the same argument that Jets fans are having right now with why the hell is Nathaniel Hackett still the offensive coordinator, right?
Right.
He was dog shit last year. He was dog shit in Denver, okay? If you take him away from Aaron Rodgers, guess what? Nathaniel Hackett's not a very good football coach, okay?
Okay.
When I look at Henry Thomas, guess what? Henry Thomas put up numbers in New England. Henry Thomas put up numbers in Detroit. And Henry Thomas put up numbers in Minnesota. Okay? Henry Thomas, there was no, Henry's better in a 3-4. Or, you know what? Henry's better in a 4-3. Or Henry was better in this guy's system. No. Henry Thomas was plug and play regardless of where you were. If you were playing on Timbuktu or the moon, if I needed a nose tackle, 97 was my guy. Okay?
Yeah.
You can't say that about the and let's call it what it is, Henry. When you talk about the defense, it's like, okay, again, you can put all the D coordinators you want for New England. Who's the guy drawing up? Who's it all going back to at the end of the day? Who's getting all the credit? Belichick gets the same kind of credit for the defense in New England, the way that no matter what offensive coordinator you bring in Kansas City, who's getting love for the offense of Kansas City?
Yeah,
that's just the way it is. So I guess he doesn't. Ted's convinced that Belichick's never going to coach again. That after this cycle, and that the league, after what they've seen from him in the last 4 or 5 years, and the fact that without Tom Brady, he's 83 and 102 without Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Dude, without Tom Brady, and he's 84 and 103. And my boy Chris Hodge from Taking Vegas, he and I talked about this a couple of days ago as well. He brought that up. Would any coach take the name away if your coach is 84 and 103 in 11 seasons? Is he going to, would you A, want him, or B, would he still be around if his name wasn't Bill Belichick?
Okay, if that's the only thing you're going by, it's fine. Don't. Why you poo-poo on the rest of his career? You're gonna let's take this away because Tom was there, and then let's just judge him on this. Kiss my balls. I don't buy it.
I know you don't, and I know, and look, I think part of it is that, look, Bill Belichick is not the friendliest guy in the world, right? Like, Bill Belichick has made himself and look, he doesn't care. Right. I mean, at least it certainly doesn't appear that way. And so, I think there is some of that too. And the fact that, as I heard on radio last week when Michael Lombardi came on and said, look, the reason why he's not in Atlanta isn't because Arthur Blank didn't want him. He's not in Atlanta because guess what? The GM and Rich McKay said, because if you bring Belichick in, guess what our jobs become? Null and void. So that's just dudes watching their own back. That's just self-preservation is all that is. It's like, okay, look,
I like the self part.
Well, that's it. Because
you don't
think
know how to
about
stand up and fight for your job. So what? This is it. Don't bring him in because now we're not going to be able to do anything. Oh, we're just going to be on the sideline. We're just going to be sitting here. Not if you work your fucking salt. You're going to go and fight for your job. So hold on a minute. Time out. All due respect, that's wrong. We should do this, this, and this. We never even considered this and this and this. But if you're going to just cower away and say, oh, no, don't bring him in, you know what? That's shame on you. Shame on them.
But you know what? And think about it this way, Henry. It probably sheds a lot of light or at least gives you a lot of background as to why during the Arthur Blank era, Falcons are 8 games above 500 during the Arthur Blank ownership tenure. So, I mean, they're a 500. I mean, that's a 500 football team, you know? And so guess what? When you bring in Raheem Morris, guess what? You're probably going to stay around that because, look, I mean, at the end of the day, do we really think Raheem Morris is a better coach than Bill Belichick?
Look, I'm giving him a shot and say no, but I'm giving him a shot. Here's the deal. Metal sharpens metal. If you're cowering away from somebody that in your mind is really good, I mean, countless times, you know, I'm the whole rookie year started. From the time I'm there, I become the starter. Next year, they drafted a nose tackle in the second round. Did I cower? No, I taught the little fucker how to play fucking nose tackle. Did he stay around? No, he got cut before the season started. But you don't back away from that kind of stuff because you think somebody's better. That guy came in there, 2% body fat. He's gonna be the next nose tackle. He's quick, he's fast. Couldn't play his way out of a wet bag, but I helped him. And I sat there and showed him what he was doing wrong. Couldn't make it on any other team either. But that was just a look thing, you know, played like Tarzan. I mean, look like Tarzan, played like Jane.
Played like Jane. So wait. And I'll tell you what, real quick. And that shows you the difference in the league you grew up in versus the difference in the league today. Could you imagine a second-round pick getting cut before the season started?
Exactly.
It's like that's insane in today's NFL. Like that. I mean
that one second round pick went on to play very well for himself. They used to call him the Undertaker, Gilbert.
Wait a minute. Wait, you're not talking about Gilbert from KU, are you? You're not talking about the dude from KU, are you?
Gilbert, that played for Green Bay. He used to dig the ground when he made a play. Yeah. He was drafted by the Vikings. Look it up.
He was a Vikings draft pick?
Yes, sir.
And basically, Henry Thomas sent him packing.
I didn't send him packing. I tried to help the boy. I didn't want to hurt you. I want to help you.
He caught you in a transitional period.
Caught me in a transitional period. But the thing is, he had some ability and some skill set. He just didn't fit our type of defensive line because we were slashers, and he was just, if it comes in this arm length, I'm going to get it. He's running way over there.
What? Oh, Gilbert Brown.
There you go.
Gilbert Brown. Right. And here's the thing. You're right, though, because he actually had a decent career.
Yes, very good career.
So they didn't try to trade him or anything. They just cut him.
Didn't fit.
By the way, he was a third-round pick. He was a third-round pick. Matter of fact, what were you then? Weren't you like the 72nd pick?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Your boy Gilbert was 79th.
99th.
No, 79th.
Oh, okay.
And no, but you're right. When you talk about that, okay, so basically you and him were the same height, it looks like.
Yeah.
But your playing weight was what, 280?
Yeah, 275, 280.
All right, your boy Gilbert, and of course, if they say it, I'm guessing it was probably a little bit heavier than this. They had his playing weight listed at 340.
340?
340.
Ain't a whole lot of running with 340. Not a whole lot of running.
You're only doing
and
so
that was
much.
one of his. Yeah, there's only a box. In this little box here, he's a monster. But that box over
What
there,
no,
it wasn't. And then.
All right, let's talk about the game on Sunday. We'll talk about the Chiefs-Ravens, and look, let's call it what it is. The Chiefs jumped out to a 17-7 lead. You could argue that how they could have been up bigger than that if they would have been able to convert that fumble that they had in the second quarter. Weren't able to do that, and then of course in the second half. That offense was not good at all. 5 punts and a kneel down. However, again, it looked like the game plan was, look, we're up by 10. We feel good about our defense. Offensively, it was almost like they didn't even try to do anything offensively other than just, look, let's just, couple carries, couple runs. Let's burn some clock and let's make Lamar Jackson beat us because we're pretty sure that he's not going to be able to. And of course, it didn't hurt that Zay Flowers couldn't figure shit out. You had a extremely ill-advised throw. I know everybody wants to talk about the pass interference. Look, when you throw into triple coverage, cancel Christmas. That's a wrap. You're done. You're doing the triple coverage in the end zone. I'm sorry, but guess what? That's an interception.
Listen, Chiefs won the game. They did what they're supposed to do to win the game. Lamar did what he thought he was supposed to do because before he wasn't getting any coaching. Then he starts listening to coaching, things start working out. He's still listening to coaching while he's playing against the Chiefs. But you know who veered away from it? The coaches. How do you be the number one rushing offense and your running backs touch the ball 6 times? That's ridiculous. Insane. But let's point it out. Let's point it at Lamar. He threw some. It's second down and 1. Let's throw a deep one. Guess what? Now you got to try to get that first down. And you're gonna throw a deep one with Kansas City's probably the number 1 man cover team there is. At least they showed it on Sunday. That man coverage, they had to play well because Spags was sending the house. He was blitzing like there was no tomorrow. But a lot of people say he was blitzing, and he really wasn't blitzing. He did what everybody else did with a little caveat. He had his spy blitz the open hole. Instead of the spy standing there and waiting to get juked out by Lamar, he saw the lane rush there, lane rush here, lane rush here. This lane's open. I'll rush there because that's his only escape. Now he's got to panic. Well, they missed 4 sacks in the first quarter. 3 sacks in the first quarter.
Yeah, it cost me a touchdown.
They're effectively getting at him, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's blitzing." That wasn't a blitz. That was just a plain old spy cover. We're gonna spy the quarterback, but we're gonna rush him in the lane that's available. So he had no escape half the time.
And you got to give
you might want to wipe that table off over there.
And you got to give. Tell you what, as underwhelming as Chris Jones was against Buffalo, he was that dynamic against Baltimore. Because again, the thing about Chris Jones is Chris Jones doesn't have to get to the quarterback every single time to affect a play, because he opens up so much more for other guys when he goes all out. Karlaftis was a beast on Sunday.
I was waiting for a note, email, a text, a tweet, a TikTok, because I believe he watched the Big Chief show. I'm pretty sure he did. And it was like, he said, "I do what?" I didn't say you did it. That's what the film's saying. You saw it on film, and I bet you, remember we talked about film session, somebody pointed it out. Somebody had the balls enough to say, "Chris, you can't play like this."
Yeah. No, they absolutely did, because again, and Henry, you're 100% right, because the intensity that he showed from Buffalo to Baltimore was night and day different. He was a man among bulls. I mean, he was Chris Jones. He that's the good Chris Jones. You had shitty Chris Jones against Buffalo. You had All Pro. This is why he's one of the top 5 defensive linemen in the world that day. So you took care of business on Sunday. Travis Kelce looked again, for Travis Kelce, for as beaten down and as much flack as he took for the last 6-7, and rightfully so, right? I mean, it was a combination of he's older, he's got the Taylor Swift distraction, and his offense just isn't the same. Look, he's turned the clock back. He's gone back to being the Travis Kelce that we expect out of. I mean, 11 catches, 115 yards, and a touchdown on Sunday. I mean, again, you got that offense rolling in the first half, and then again in the second half, you just kind of, you played on cruise control a little bit. Let's take it now to the game that night, the Lions in San Francisco. Where are you at on the Dan Campbell conversation? I mean, look, I give the man props for what he said after the game, but look, it's a different beast, Henry, and you know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. It's a different beast when you're going for 2 against the Dallas Cowboys in Week 17 versus when you're going for it versus a field goal in an NFC Championship game with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line.
Well, with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line, I know it's who you are and it's what you do, but you got to know how to adapt. You got to know how to you got to see the situation. They go down. They score a field goal. Okay, they get a little momentum. You drive it down. Instead of taking that momentum away and kicking a field goal, you go for it on 4th and 2. Don't even come close to making it.
Well, the guy dropped it.
So now, yeah. He did drop. That's the one he dropped. Exactly. So it's in his breadbasket. He dropped it. And what that does is when you shut a team down on 4th down, it jazzes the whole sideline. And it came back and they drove down the field and they took the wind out of them. If you go and get that 3 points back, it's still a 3-possession game. Now they got to do it. But no, just because that's who you are doesn't mean you have to do it.
Henry, what is that? Look, you've been there, done that. What does that do psychologically to a team? I mean, and I heard somebody say this the other day, and it's so true. Like, it's like, look, I get it. In the last 5 to 10 years, everybody's gotten more aggressive, analytics and what have you. But when did a field goal become a bad thing? When did we decide that no points is better than 3 points? When did that become part of the conversation?
Well, see, that becomes part of the conversation, but he just proved to you that maybe that's not the good thing. But up until then, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And that's when you have to have people on the sideline going, look, when you get those 3 points back, it's still a 3-possession game. We don't have to get the first down here. Let's take our points, set the clock back. Now it's just like us coming out for halftime. For the second half, let's make them do it again. But no, you give them momentum, you give them excitement, you brought the crowd back to life. You damn near was sending San Francisco people home. And you do something dumb like that, the game's over.
No, that stadium was dead. That game was veering into, because again, if you go up 27-10, and that's my question for you, is what is that psychological level like when from a San Francisco 49ers standpoint of, okay, yeah, we scored, yeah, you can argue, well, we held them to 3 instead of 7, but at the same time, you're down 27-10 with some change left in the third quarter. What does that mean? What as a defense, as a team, what are you telling yourself when you're down 17 and time slipping away?
Hey, we got to go and stop these guys. We got to get the ball back for our offense and get a turnover, strip, do whatever. You got to go back and do it. As a defensive player for myself, it's like I know my group and the group that I came up with on all 3 teams that I played, they all would have been the same way as, okay, offense ain't doing crap. Let's go to work, guys. We need something happening here. Everybody tries to step up.
Yeah,
but you're beating the crap out of them. Don't take your foot off the accelerator. I mean, up until the halftime when they came down and drove and got a field goal, they got a little life back in him. But that whole second quarter, you could hear a frog fart in there. It was so quiet. I mean, it was crazy. Just unbelievable.
No, San Francisco. I mean, Detroit. They had them dead to rights. It looked like that game was out of control. It looked like they had them taken care of. And then, of course, like you said, man, the fumble, or excuse me, they failed the fourth down. Then you had the Jahmyr Gibbs fumble, and it just seemed like. And then and then you can take it a step further, and what he was doing on those last 4 plays, down the stretch. You run for it on third down. I mean, it was just a collapse.
Up until that point as well, the whole second half, the first half, you're gashing them for 7-10 yards a pop on the running play. What happened to that? You want to know why Goff was throwing it so well in the first half? Because you were running the ball. It was balanced. Play action meant something. Into the third quarter, play action don't mean diddly squat. They pinning their ears back and they're coming.
Yeah. How impressed with you? Where are you at with Purdy?
I'm not. I don't. Mr. Irrelevant, still Mr. Irrelevant. There's nothing about him that says he's a leader or he's gonna just tear the system and the team that he's in is perfect.
Yeah.
It's like sticking Brad Johnson or what's the guy from Baltimore?
Who, Flacco?
Not Flacco, the one with the T. No, that was Tampa. Anyways, he was on ESPN a while. You know the quarterback. I don't know. I can't.
Trent Dilfer.
Dilfer, that guy.
Yeah.
Sticking them in a good system and saying this, and this. I mean, Deebo Samuel.
You got Ayuk. You got CMC. You got Kittle. I mean, there's pieces there for days. But here's my question for you. But here's my thing, though, is that that offense never looked that good with Jimmy G. Trey Lance, he's still off in no man's land. I mean, there is something to be said for the fact that Brock Purdy was able to go into that offense and perform better than anybody in that, whether it's Trey Lance or any of those guys has in the last 3 or 4 years.
I mean, the system has brought that team a long way. You got an adequate quarterback that you stick in there. He does a good job with it. The other guys, nope. I thought they fought the system too much. Tried to make it their own. You don't have to do that in San Francisco. But for San Francisco playing Kansas City, you might as well go on to the Taylor Swift concert because that ain't happening for them. I think Kansas City's going to beat the brakes off of them.
You do?
I do.
It's interesting. We're gonna delve. I'm gonna have you put a pin in that.
Put a little asterisk on that. Put a pin in that. Stick it right here.
We're gonna get more. We're gonna go full game next week because there's just too much going on this week, and we still we still got a good week.
Listen, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What's the deal about everybody riding your boy about a dad bod?
So I don't know if you saw the picture that came out from over the weekend.
I saw him in the locker room.
Yeah,
he looked like every other quarterback I've ever played with. And I said,
look, you know what quarterbacks look like. You've seen. I mean, we as the general public don't get to see that as often.
Well, I'll tell you one of the biggest jokes that come back that I said about a quarterback that I can see somebody who was in the room today, they'll still bring it up and laugh. Bledsoe. We're in the training room. I was getting my ankle taped, and I had a towel on, but I didn't have it like around me. I had it wrapped up like a diaper. And he made a comment about my stomach, the way it was hanging over my diaper, and I was like, well, at least I don't look like a 13-year-old girl just hitting puberty. But that's the way all quarterbacks look. Every one of them I've ever played with. You name them, McMahon, Moon, Wade Wilson, all of them looked exactly the same way. Exactly. Like they're a 13-year-old girl just hitting puberty. It was like,
So you're not gonna. I mean, you're not gonna see just some yoked, ripped up, jacked up quarterback.
No. When did you see Tom Brady yoked and ripped up? After he was done. Went towards the end when he was doing that 112, whatever thing they called it. And he had a yacht, so you might not want to look good if you're on the back of a yacht.
He's doing. Look, he was doing something right. I mean, hell, he had Giselle for he's had what, Michelle Monahan or Bridget Moynihan or whatever the hell sister he's got that he impregnated for his first kid. That she turned around and named classy.
Just depending on what circle you hang around, but it's
that's it. That's all it is. That's all it is.
But no, you and I hang in that circle long enough, we'll have 2 or 3 of them too, like that.
That's fair.
Just
that's
fair. Like
no, that's fair. I don't disagree with that. No, it was funny that he caught so much shit for that, but like I said, it just goes to show, not all professional athletes look the same way, and it just lets you know that, it gives you that much. I think if anything, it should make kids, boys, girls, whatever, feel good that, what you see on Instagram, where you see these influencers and all these folks that, God knows what they're on. And look, I'm a weightlifter. I get it. But, like that stuff's not real. Like what Pat Mahomes looks like. Think about it. That's what he's a world-class athlete. And if we're really being honest with ourselves, Pat Mahomes is a much better athlete and probably much better at just overall athletics than any of these influencers you see who are jacked up with, rips on rips on rips. But then you look at Pat Mahomes and you're like, okay, 90% of people can't do what he does.
Okay, let's see. If you want to see a football player that's ripped up, running backs, wide receiver, cornerbacks, they run all day long. You see him run down the field and don't get the ball, and then back in the next play, running down the field again.
Yeah. And what about linebackers? Linebackers are usually kind of jacked too, aren't they?
Yeah, some of them. Some of them are. But
who was the most? Okay, let me ask you this: who was the outside of Randall McDaniel? Because we talked about this briefly last week. I know you said Randall McDaniel was a freak of nature at left guard. Who else, though? Give me somebody else that people would not expect, that maybe he didn't look physically intimidating, but when it came to working out and just his overall ability, was outside of Henry Thomas, was a monster.
Young kid I played with in Detroit, Luther Ellis. He was in the weight room, just unreal.
Luther Ellis.
I'll tell you another guy who had a bit of a dad body, but was a beast on the field. Spielman in Detroit. Okay. A monster. Go look at his pictures. You'd be like, boom, he'll lay the lumber on you.
By the way, your boy Luther Ellis, who is now a coach with the Utah Utes. In fact, so there you go.
What's a Ute?
Yes, he is. He is the defensive tackle coach for Utah. Go figure. Oh. And you two played together. He's a big boy though. 6'5", 320.
Oh, monster. Just
what is he? What is he? What is he? Samoan?
Hey.
And he spent Okay, so he spent 9 years with Detroit, and then he spent his last year with Denver. So, okay. Oh, so you got – okay, so he was there your second – okay, so y'all drafted him your second year in Detroit. It looks like.
Yeah.
You were in Detroit, what, 94 and 95?
No, 95 and 96. And
okay.
Yeah, 95, 96.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. All right, we'll start winding this thing down a little bit. Just kind of recapping the weekend that was. Again, I'm with you. Kind of hard to believe that. And again, I said this a couple days ago, and somebody thought I was crazy, but I was like, look, what's the explanation for it? I really felt like, to what you said earlier, that the Baltimore coaching staff took it upon themselves to say, we're going to make Lamar go tit for tat with Pat Mahomes.
Exactly. And that's not what got you there.
They took the whole MVP thing personally, like, oh, we're going to show you guys who the real MVP is. And guess what? We saw who the real MVP was. There's no shame. And like you said, Henry, you know what helped make Lamar the MVP? The number one ranked rushing offense in the NFL. Like you said, that's what he builds off of. And yet, for whatever reason, you're over here having this man, what did he throw? 37 passes against Kansas City?
Exactly.
That's insane. Why are you in a game where you scored 10 points and you threw 37 passes? Like, I could understand if it was a shootout and maybe it was 38-35 and Lamar threw 37 passes and you're saying, okay, that fits, that works.
Yeah.
No. You don't throw 37 passes and score 10 points. There's something fundamentally wrong.
You run the ball.
Run the football. There's no question about that. All right. Last thing, coaching-wise, and we're all kind of – I mean, I don't know about you, Henry. I'm scratching my head about this. Belichick thing, okay, I understand that. The Vrabel thing, I almost feel like he didn't want to coach and sat out himself. There's something about that just feels a little – maybe that was the case for me. But explain to me what did we hear after they fired Dan Snyder? Oh, Commanders, this is a new organization, fresh look, fresh feel. Right. You brought in the guy from the Golden State Warriors to give like this outside look because he's won so many games. You brought in the Spielman character, and you hired Dan fucking Quinn? You could have hired me and you for that. Like, you needed that to go get Dan Quinn? Let me ask you something, Henry. Explain to me how Dan Quinn is any different than Ron Rivera.
Well, if I had to put them one against the other, I'll take Ron Rivera every time, every day.
Oh, and guess who he's and you want to talk about just the ultimate bait and switch? Guess who Ron Rivera is interviewing with tomorrow?
Whom?
The Dallas Cowboys.
For what?
So basically, if he gets that job, D coordinator. That's what I'm saying. Ron Rivera is interviewing for the D coordinator spot with Dallas tomorrow. So if he think about it. So if he gets that job, basically Ron Rivera and Dan Quinn just swap jobs. That's it.
Swap jobs. That's it.
Just swap jobs. Just swap jobs. I mean, look, Dan Quinn, the last thing we remember of him, what? Getting blown out by the Green Bay Packers, okay? No postseason success. And the last thing we remember from him as a head coach is what? Giving up the biggest lead, hemorrhaging the biggest lead in NFL Super Bowl history. That's Dan Quinn. I just feel like, Henry, there were so many candidates available, and I would have taken Vrabel over Dan Quinn.
But there you go for the NFL. That kind of resume, and you're still working 10 years later. How is that possible? Yeah. Never stop working. Never stop.
Dan Quinn's a good. I'll say this: Dan Quinn's a good D coordinator, right? Like I'll give him that. You
just gave him shit. You just lined up all the shit that he wasn't good at.
No. But I'm saying, look, I can live with him as my D coordinator, right? Because look, Spags, when he came to Kansas City, was coming off a little bit of a rough stretch, right? Like he had coached it with the Rams and was a disaster. I think he worked with the Saints for a hot minute and kind of, it wasn't great. Gets to Kansas City, and now guess what? We forget that, oh, by the way, this was the same dude who shut down Tom Brady, 15 years ago, right? So, Spags hasn't forgotten how to coach. It's just, look, it's all about what? The ingredients in the groceries, right?
Yeah.
Are we convinced that Dan Quinn is going to suddenly, as a head coach, take some monumental step in Washington? I don't know. It just, maybe we're excited. Maybe we want something a little sexier. I just know this: for a team that needs a quarterback, why you would go with a defensive guy, I just don't understand. It makes no sense to me.
Well, he can still draft a quarterback, but the thing.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely going to.
Here's the thing: it's the pieces that you put around you. It's like Philadelphia last year. They had the great pieces around them: offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, people who knew how to get in touch and how to coach and how to make adjustments and make the adjustments where it's understandable to the players. Those two guys get other jobs. They leave after week 9. Philadelphia looked like regular old saltine cracker, just nothing.
Yeah,
But it's the people you put around you to do the coaching that are, so many times that people have been in good situations, but clash with this person, or clash with that person, or clash with that person. It's so hard as human beings to see what we're here for the big picture, because our egos get in the way of, because I know I got an ego about stuff, but if we working together for the same thing, I don't like the way if you're working the way I'm working, even though we have different point of view, I'm going to work with you. If you're not working the way I'm working and you have a different point of view, your point of view is ass. I don't care about it. I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep my head down and keep going. In coaching, it's so good, old boy. I got a friend that's a friend that's a friend. This guy and I, we came into coaching at the same time. Oh, all of a sudden he got a head coaching job over there. I'm gonna go work for him. I'm gonna be the D coordinator. Come on, man. Show me. I need some resumes. Don't come at me because I'm your friend. Because we're gonna stop being friends. I'm gonna tell you just like it is. I don't think you ready for coordinator, but I do need a spot for the linebackers. If you say no and get mad at me, deuces. This is what I'm doing. I'll see you on the golf course when the season over. I don't care. And we need more attitude like that in the National Football League.
It's funny when you bring up position coaches. Ted brought up the fact that one of the strikes against Bill Belichick was that he brought in a lacrosse player to coach up the cornerbacks. I don't know how that works.
I don't either. I mean, I know you do the stick like this. That's all I know. You got to throw the little ball in the net.
And that was his point, was that the shit that Belichick was doing behind the scenes that people were like, what is going on here? I mean, his sons were coaches. He was bringing in lacrosse players who had no football experience. And then, of course, you and I have talked about ad nauseum the fact that in year 2 of Mac Jones's NFL career, rather than bring a actual legit NFL offensive mind, you bring in Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, who, by the way, you know why they brought them in? According to Ted, you know why they used him? Well, that, and the Patriots didn't have to pay him. Yeah. They were not getting.
So they kind of got indentures. They was like indentured slaves or servants, right? We ain't gotta beat them, and we ain't gotta pay them, but they gotta stay.
Well, and then here's the other thing. So, and then he said with Gerard Mayo, all right. He said he's already interviewed 12 offensive coordinators, all right, and which is a little concerning. Okay, I mean, how many different coordinators do you need to interview, right? So there's this.
There's that many different offenses. 12.
And that's what Ted was saying. He goes, the scuttlebutt is, nobody really knows how to read Gerard Mayo, because he said the thing about Gerard Mayo is he's never been a coordinator. He's always been a linebackers coach. So nobody really, other coaches really don't know what he's like. They don't know what he's about. So it's like, as he's trying to assemble his staff, people are kind of, other, offensive people and stuff like that are kind of looking from a distance saying, I don't know that I want to necessarily go that way because A, I don't know what quarterback I'm gonna have. B, I don't know what personnel I'm gonna have. And C, I don't know what to think of Gerard Mayo. He said it because and real quick, he pointed out the fact that when D'Amico came to Houston, he said, look, he brought Bobby Slowick with him. Right. Yeah. So they knew what they were getting. You know, he was able to present like, okay, here's what I'm doing. I'm calling the defense. And oh, by the way, here's my boy Bobby Slowick, which, you know what, turned out to be a pretty damn good move. Now, look, you're only going to have him for one more year. You better enjoy him while you got him.
I thought he was interviewing jobs.
No. I mean, no. He interviewed for 2 or 3 jobs. I know he even interviewed for the Commanders job, and I think he interviewed for the Carolina job, but obviously got passed over for those. So, you know, look, he's going to have 1 more year, and if Stroud does,
you got to go back to work.
What's that?
That's a hit and a half for your ass. I said that's a hit and a half for your ass. You get passed over for Carolina and the Commanders, you ain't ready, boss. You need to go. You need to get back in the oven and do a little more cooking.
But Henry, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm saying it's fine. It's good that they pass you over, but that's low hanging fruit. If you're anything,
well, but here's but you know what though? I would argue this. I honestly believe with Washington now, Carolina's a shit show. He may have just said the hell with it. Who knows? But with Washington though, I don't know that he ever had a legit chance because from what I heard on the radio this morning, they said that look, Ben Johnson was their guy. And then Ben Johnson came out yesterday and said, I'm not going anywhere. And so it feels like that's why this whole Dan Quinn thing came about, because when Ben Johnson turned him down, then they had to go to option B, which really, Dan Quinn was your option B? Whatever. Hey, win some, lose some.
Lose some,
I guess so. Yeah, no, you absolutely do. Absolutely. So, no, look, it's from a coaching perspective, I mean, again, I think the Canales hire was kind of a surprise to me. And, and look, you and I talked about it last week about, him getting when he got interviewed and we were thinking, all right, it's got to be because of what he did with Baker Mayfield. There's no other earthly reason how a guy who was in his first year with Tampa Bay, and it's not like that offense like lit the world on fire. They were good. Right. It's not like everybody was like, oh, Henry, are you watching this Tampa Bay game? No. But I'm guessing they looked at it. And, oh, by the way, did you realize that he wrote a book about watching too much porn and how to overcome it?
Huh? What?
So so Canales, the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers, wrote a book with his wife about how to battle porn addiction and how to come back with your wife if y'all are beefing. So there you go. So if look,
so they weren't. It translates to me, they wasn't watching porn together. He was watching the porn and she was like, "I can't do that." He was like, "How come you can't put your leg behind your head?
Right?
Can't you hold this in your mouth?"
I know. You got a friend that looks like that. Seriously. By the way, real quick program note. So we reached out to our boy Bitter Mike Babbo. And we were trying to get him on the show tonight with us, but he is in Georgia and said that he's too drunk to jump on anyway. So can't be having a drunken,
What part of Georgia you in? You got a funny accent when you're down there. They might.
That's a good question. Here, we're going to text him real quick. What part of? I'm guessing it's in Atlanta, right? What part of it, Georgia?
That's all in Georgia. Texas. I need to get my phone right.
That's my guess. That's my guess. All right. Okay. All right. So last but not least, Henry Thomas. Like I said, we're a week away from the Super Bowl, so you and I will dive more into the actual game next week. We're not going to talk too much about it today. Like I said, we've got all the coaching and wrap up from that concern. And you already said that you think the Chiefs are going to take care of business. Like I said, we're getting all that. What's that? All right. Be sure, real quick.
Tomorrow. Real quick, tomorrow you're on the radio down here in Houston.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Henry Thomas, and we were getting ready to, because I was getting ready to say, hey, let's we'll put off the show Thursday night. We'll have Henry Thomas join me, but obviously you're a working man, so but that invite's still open. So if you can break away, you already know the drill. But no, your boy's gonna be hosting 10 to noon tomorrow on ESPN 97.5. So everybody tune in, enjoy. You will have a good time. So anything else for the folks at home, Henry Thomas?
Next week I'll be in Minnesota. Got a couple of Super Bowl party that I'm hosting and a couple of appearances up there. So I'll be up there freezing, having a good time in the tundra.
When are you leaving for Minnesota?
Thursday morning.
Thursday morning. All right. So you and I will have to do our show. So we'll do our show Tuesday then, because you bowl Monday and Wednesday, correct?
Correct. Tuesday.
All right. So we'll put it in pencil that we'll do our show Tuesday, and we'll do our little Super Bowl preview then. And we'll get our boy Bitter Mike Babbo to jump on with us as well. He's in Sylvester, Georgia. Sylvester. Where's that at? I don't know.
Now, explains why he's drunk. He's not in Atlanta.
Fair enough. You can follow Henry Thomas at Henry Thomas NFL. That's at Henry Thomas NFL. You can find him both on Instagram and Twitter at Henry Thomas NFL. Although if you follow him on Twitter, he probably won't get back to you because that's just. But Instagram all day, every day.
Graham. I like the Graham.
What's that? You're a Graham guy. You're a Graham guy. Yeah. You're a Graham guy. No question about it. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to my boy Chris Hodge from TakingVegas.com. And like I said, you'll see us tomorrow at ESPN 97.5. Tune in. You will be glad that you did. For the one, the only Henry Thomas, I'm still that dude, Freddie D from H-Town, Kansas City, East Coast, West Coast, and all points in between. Good night. God bless.
Peace.
Boom. Well done, my friend.